Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Odd Musings, episode number 222.
222.
Two. Sounds like a bad rapper. I'm triple two.
Welcome to episode 222. We're here too.
We were discussing, which we're not going to get into today, today's episode of What If before we got on the air.
What if?
But we'll be talking a little bit about last week's episode, just some.
Yes.
And stuff like that. And
there's some interesting theories popping up around last week's episode and the new Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. So we'll see how that works in. And
I'm feeling like the what ifs are more, instead of what ifs, as this is actually happening. These are the multiple universes out there. And not that everything we see in the what ifs will appear in the films or even the series, but they're trying to just say this is all the stuff that is out there, and certain things from certain eras could pop in.
Yeah. And there, as you mentioned off air, Hank Pym seems to be popping up a lot in these what ifs. So I wonder if they're setting up something for these future films.
I'm thinking it's setting up a lot for the Quantum Mania Ant-Man, which we get still 2 years away.
Right.
But it's I think that's part of it, and certain things going on there. So and while these are all what ifs that are taking place within the MCU movies, that timeline, I think they are setting up stuff for the future movies in some way, or hinting at different things that could happen to alter the course of the future. So,
right.
But we'll see on that. But hey, we got stuff we'll talk about. Let's talk about a few things first. Got to take care of the business, guys. So let's start off with Loringer Family Chiropractic Center, PC, located in Belleville, Michigan, and Dexter, Michigan. And they take great pride in providing the finest chiropractic care to each and every patient, offering on-site digital x-rays, massage therapy, orthotics by foot levelers, young living essential oils, aromatherapy, full line of vitamins, all in a family-oriented environment. Give them a call, 734-697-4244. They have a lot of other stuff they do. So there's a lot of new things they work on, stuff like that. When you visit them online at LoringerFamilyChiropractic.com, or as I got on the screen there, the Facebook page, which is at Loringer Family Chiro. You can see what they got new going on, talk to them about different stuff. They may say, hey, here's your problem, but we have this new treatment we're working with, and different things they can work on, and that to help alleviate your pain and allow you to have a very healthy and well life. So definitely check out Loringer Family Chiropractic. They've been with us since day one, and they are a proud sponsor of Odd Musings.
Yes, indeed. We also have Team Titans Real Estate. Why? Because you matter. That's right. At Team Titans Real Estate, we utilize the latest in tools and technology to maximize your home buying experience. But at the center of it all, we never forget this is a people business. We always put the relationship with our clients first. And one of those clients just listed their house for sale with us. It's technically coming soon. It goes live tomorrow, but you could see it here. It's over in Madison Heights, 13 Mile and John R. for only $260,000. Lots of great updates in this house. So pride of ownership throughout, 1,760 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 1.5 baths, updated kitchen there with some granite and backsplash, newer floors in the kitchen, family room and foyer, an amazing bonus room too. I want to show you here. Right, there's a natural fireplace, but there's also this bonus room, which adds a lot of square footage to the house. It's been updated, recessed lighting, newer floor in there. That's engineered wood in there, but it also has a gas fireplace, so you can enjoy this room year round. And then when you go upstairs, there's a remodeled bathroom upstairs, along with 4 bedrooms up there. And then you go to the backyard, finished basement as well. You go into the backyard, and it borders Ambassador Park. That park has soccer fields, tennis courts, a half-mile walking path, and a play structure for kids, and even a sledding hill for the wintertime. So if you got kids especially, there's a gate in the backyard. You just open it up, and your kids have access to this beautiful park whenever they want. So good times. Give me a call if you want to schedule a showing. Showing start tomorrow. 586-549-6096 is my number, or Jill Webler, 586-277-2145.
Nice.
Yeah.
Haven't seen a house listed for that in a while, so
right.
It was really nice too. If I was in the market right now to buy a house up that way, I'd probably seriously say, hey, let's look at this because I like the size of it. It's got a lot of room, so you can definitely like for me as a single guy, it'd be something more like having extra rooms for besides an office would be for guests to come and stay. But I like that bonus room. That's pretty cool right off the back there.
Yeah, it's a great room. So a lot of space on that first floor. So if having 4 bedrooms, if you have 3 kids plus yourselves, there's a lot of space in that house. Then you add in the finished basement where kids could hang out too and stuff. So
excellent.
Also located within a half mile of Red Oaks Water Park, the Red Oaks Dog Park. If you have dogs, lots of shopping. There's a Meijer you could walk to. It's literally like not even a quarter mile away. So a lot of conveniences too for if you have a family, so you don't have to go far for places for entertainment, restaurants, shopping.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Fantastico.
Yeah. So Scott, how was your week?
It was a busy week. We were really busy. A lot of things going on. We got real estate going on. We had Shang-Chi went and saw, so we'll be talking about that today. I'm trying to correct a wrong in the universe. Jill has never watched the Breaking Bad series. I know. So she loves Ozark. And I told her, I said, if you love Ozark, you're going to love Breaking Bad. I really think Ozark is here because of Breaking Bad. There's a lot of
Breaking Bad really launched a new genre within the TV series in terms of how they handle some dramas and that. And realistically, though, I would have to go one little step further back. Breaking Bad was able to happen, I think, also because of shows like The Sopranos.
I agree. Yeah. I fully agree with that. With this, we're about 5 or 6 episodes into the first season of Breaking Bad. She's loving it so far. For me, I haven't watched it in years, so it's been fun to revisit these characters. The first time Badger shows up, he's spinning a advertising sign. Or Skinny Pete. I'm like, oh, I forgot these guys were back in season 1. Yeah, they become such staples later on. So it's fun revisiting these characters at me knowing where the story goes to see these characters at the original point in the series. So it's good times. It's just as enjoyable watching now as when I watched it years ago. So so yeah, we've been doing that, and then also just reorganizing. We bought a bunch of shelves. It's a time of year where, because it's not like the surface of the sun outside, we're starting to get to the to-do list again, because we got some painting we want to do, things where we can open the windows or things we can do outside. We're also organizing the basement. We bought a bunch of shelves because I'm trying to create a nice storage area for all the with Bardstone. I'm getting a lot of issues and a lot of inventory for our upcoming shows. So I bought all these shelves to try to organize everything nicely. And plus I got to get packing for Cincinnati. So I got to figure out what I'm bringing to that. So that's been this week. So
we'll talk about that after the show's done.
Yes.
Show's done. We'll talk a little bit about that too. So
yeah.
Cause we're going to, real quick, we'll promote Cincinnati real quick. We're going to be at Cincinnati Comic Expo at the Duke Energy Convention Center in Cincinnati, Ohio next weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So coming up, it's gonna be. I love that show. I've always had a lot of fun there. We see a lot of regulars. I know one of our viewers that kind of chimes in later on, Steve, is supposed to be coming out. He's messaged us once in a while through the Facebook, through the Odd Music. Look forward to seeing Steve again. I've known him for several years at the show. And then next week's guest, we're going to have a guest next Wednesday. We're going to have Bob Hickey. He's going to be talking about his new book. There's the Cincinnati Expo. And Bob Hickey's going to talk about his book, but he's not setting up at the show this year, but he is going to come out one day, he said, and visit with everybody. So looking forward to seeing Bob.
Yeah, definitely.
In that. And we should see Rodney and Tina, Rodney Fike, and we know they've got a great Kickstarter. They got another one coming soon through their Hasm Productions. So it'll be a great chance to meet with them. We'll have to try to do dinner together at one night and hang out just a little bit. Unfortunately, a few people we won't see that we normally see is Vinny and Lisa. They will have a presence at the show. So T-24 will have t-shirts at the show, but they themselves will be in Salt Lake City because, again, shows are just stacked on top of each other. And a lot of people that can do this are sending different teams to cover their booths because shows are already paid for, and they're trying to recoup that money we lost this last year and a half from not having shows. So
Yeah, this year has been a weird year. Usually we plan out our shows, and you still have overlap of shows, and you have to pick and choose. But this year, especially, a whole year's worth of shows all became available like within 5 months.
Yeah.
And so everybody is stacked on each other, and shows that we normally don't even have to think about choosing between are now scheduled the same weekend. Like even with this, we got Cincinnati and Monroe happening the same weekend.
Yeah.
So Kevin will be down at the Monroe. What is he calling it? Pop Fest? Is that Monroe?
Yeah, Monroe Pop Culture Fest. A lot of shows changed their names when San Diego Comic-Con sued about the name Comic-Con for like the 15th time, but they actually won against a certain show. Yeah. And some shows like Motor City Comic-Con, still Motor City Comic-Con. They've been that long enough that they're kind of grandfathered in, but any shows that came after a certain date have had a lot of the small ones changed because they didn't want the hassle. So that's why Cincinnati Comic-Con became Cincinnati Pop Culture Expo. Same thing with Monroe. Even Great Lakes became Great Lakes Expo, Comic Expo. So those are kind of different changes. It's still a Comic-Con, guys. It's going to be called Comic-Con. Yeah. And for those that don't truly know, they're going to think this is the same Comic-Con in Cincinnati. So it is. So come out and spend money. We'll be happy to take your money there and buy some great comics. Because, hey, we're going to have all of the Poe Macabre. We're going to have all the Crimson Shadows, and we'll be promoting the new upcoming Kickstarter in a few weeks of Crimson Shadows 3. Maybe Scott will be able to tease you with some images. Who knows?
Yeah, hopefully.
And then
I got a lot to go on this book. I'm trying hard to get it. Life has been so busy.
And everybody understands that. We're doing a great job with this. I'm loving what we're doing with this. I'll have my current Boomtown stuff. And so you'll get, if you need any issues, stuff like that, pop on in there. We got Kevin Meyer saying hello today. There he is. Yeah. Hello.
Which, as we said, he'll be at the Monroe show.
Definitely going to miss.
Brett froze up. There you are.
Okay, Cincinnati. Kevin. Okay. Am I back? Okay.
There you go. You're back.
So
you froze up. Okay.
On my end, it looked just fine.
Unless it was on my end, I never know.
It's not you because you keep freezing up. I think you're freezing up on your end because I've got no signal saying I'm losing signal for once. Actually, I'm trying something different this week. I'm trying using the Microsoft Edge browser versus Chrome. Because I keep thinking it might be Chrome that's been causing some of my lags.
Interesting.
And so far, I've not had any issues. So
okay.
So we'll see. At least on my end. So no big deal. But we've also got a couple weeks. Kevin and I will be in Louisville for Fright Fest Film Festival Convention, HorrorCon. Can't wait for that. Get a chance to meet the cast of the Monster Squad. I'm excited about that. And then you're going to be doing the Motor City Comic Con. And
here I'll pull up the list here.
Let's
see here. Where's our list? Comic Con schedule. I'll get rid of that. Add. The camera blocks my button there. There we go.
So, but it's and that was a little bummer that they were scheduled the same week as Indiana because I was already booked in Indiana. So we worked it out for Bardstone anyways to have a presence, and Scott's going to be there with Bardstone / The Art of Scott. So you can come and he's going to drag as much crap as he can out. I'm sorry, as much awesome artwork as he can out.
I mean, this year's gone by quick. It's So we're already, let's see, we finished Gem City, Tampa Bay, Colorado Springs. Now the next two are Cincy and Monroe. Fright Night for Kevin and Brett on October 1st. Hard to believe October 1st is less than a month away. Indiana Comic-Con and Motor City, same weekends as Brett said. I'll be there. Kevin and Brett will be in Indiana. Then Akron.
Yep. Now one change for that Motor City though is we show October 16th and 17th. They added Friday, so it will be the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Their normal type 3-day show hours. But I'm seeing a lot of these celebrities are coming. Only a few will be there Fridays. So Friday's a great day to come and hang out with Scott and talk comics, the Bardstone stuff, get some great artwork. Things like that. So I would say come out all 3 days. And then if you did want to meet some celebrities, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday be there. It looks like John Barrowman will be there all 3 days though. And he's doing though, I think it's hilarious. He's doing, I saw it posted, he's doing comic or costume photo op. So he's going to wear a costume at the talk he gives on Saturday. And then Sunday they're having a special photo op with whatever he cosplays as. He's done like Squirrel Girl in the past. He's done where he wore like a TARDIS dress, things like that. And I've seen some funny pictures with him. a friend of mine went to school with that she's done some of the Comic Cons. Her and her sister did a thing where they looked like disgruntled a little bit and bummy, and then he's there with a tiara and flowers and doing the princess pose, which is actually quite hilarious looking.
There is definitely, I think, no other celebrity who goes as far out as he does with the fans. He will do naughty poses with them. He will do. He does. He's very. You can tell he is absolutely loving his time with the fans.
Well, here's a guy that I enjoy. I enjoyed him as from Doctor Who and everything he's done around that whole universe there and stuff like that. But he is definitely one of those celebrities that has realized that what he got was something special, and he's embracing the fans. And I love the celebrities that say, "Hey, it's because of the fans I'm here," and they go all out at these shows. They don't have to go all out like a John Barrowman all the time, but sometimes a lot of times it's just they just spend time with the fans, talking to them, having a good time. And I always appreciate them. I mean, we've met quite a few like that over the years that saying, "Hey, I got a great role. I've had some acting stuff. This is why I'm here. The fans love it. That's why I keep doing it." Speaking of which, as a little side note, since we've kind of covered the Comic Cons because we'll be in Akron, did you watch the documentary about Val Kilmer yet?
We did. We watched it not this week, but the week before.
I just watched it a couple nights ago.
He's a very interesting fella. He's different than I was expecting.
The more you he actually is exactly what I thought he would be after years of seeing how he was during interviews and stuff like that. Yeah. He's definitely he's an actor, and you can tell that's kind of like a natural thing for him with showing his youth and that. But the fact that through his upbringing and in fact he did get raised pretty well off with his family. I mean, they weren't like uber rich or anything like that, but he had a video camera before anybody else did. And then when he got into Juilliard at 18, one of the youngest ever, he had already been filming himself and filming people. I mean, he was basically doing video blogs before video blogs were a thing. And
he was the selfie king before.
Yeah.
I cannot believe how much he was doing videos of himself videoing stuff.
Yeah.
It's like how much film did this guy do?
Yeah, they talked about it. He said he got literally thousands and thousands of hours of footage that they combed through to create this documentary.
I thought it was interesting. There was zero mention of his movie Real Genius. Not even a mention.
No, there was a mention. It was real brief. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What it was is when they talked Top Gun and they showed the kind of stuff from that, then they showed an article of Real Genius showing in the theaters at that time.
Right.
So that was it.
But
they didn't get into it.
I was surprised because that was really, I think Real Genius was really where a lot of people first got to know him as an actor.
Yeah, I knew him. I remember Top Secret, and then I remember Real Genius. I was like, okay, this guy's pretty cool. And then when he was in Top Gun, it's like, okay, this guy's really all over the place right now because it was all boom, boom, boom. Real Genius, I think, didn't take off though until one aired on like HBO and that in the 80s, but streaming. And in this last 10 years, especially, really brought it out more for people that had never seen it. I had seen it and loved it. So
it just made me wonder, did he have a really bad experience on it? And that's why he didn't mention it. Like you said, it was a paperclip, but he didn't talk about, because that was really, like you said, Top Secret was his first.
Yep. And Real he talked Genius about
that. I remember for our age group, Real Genius was really popular.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of people that was my first introduction to him, not Top Secret.
Yeah. See, I liked all the airplane movies and things like that. So those guys did Top Secret. He did talk about it. They had a couple quick clips from Real Genius, but they didn't get into it. I think because they did Top Secret, they talked about that more. Yeah. And then he went right into Real Genius and then was in the Top Gun. They kind of glazed over it for time. Yeah. Just to feel a movie in it, but it's one of the things I don't know how much if he likes it or not because he didn't answer any questions about that. I would hope he likes it because it's just one of those movies. But there is if you go back and just skim up to where they start talking about getting into the movies, Top Secret, watch that 5-10 minute segment there, and you'll see Real Genius in there.
Oh yeah.
But I think there's other movies like they didn't mention Thunderheart, but they showed him signing a poster for somebody.
Yeah.
So he's done a ton of work they didn't cover, and I think part of it was. I think a lot of it was this was more not about his movieography, his filmography. It was strictly about who he was going through these years, and even doing films like Batman. And he said, "I'm not coming back for that." And it's funny. He talked about the bat suit. I thought he was going to talk about the bat nipples, but it was actually he says, "I just couldn't move, so I'm just kind of like."
Well,
He was no net Joe, is what he was.
Well, he also, the whole reason he didn't like it was the same reason Michael Keaton left. It was all about the villains. He quickly realized his job was just to stand there.
Yeah.
Anybody could have done that role. And, Michael Keaton, after the 2, he's like, why am I doing this? It's not even about me.
Right. But I definitely recommend it. I've always been a fan of a lot of his work, and he talks about his condition with his throat cancer. He does talk using his trach. His son does the voiceover work for him.
His son sounds just like him. Now, what I find interesting, though, is I saw a whole thing about them making this and how they used the computerized voice for him. But in the documentary, they said it was his son doing the voice.
Yeah.
So did his son do the voice, but then they used the computer to put Val's voice over it? Or
I wonder if they did. I wonder if they processed it to make it sound more like Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
But it was his son doing he did the recording.
Right.
And I'm thinking they may have done some manipulation on that. Because they talked about his daughter, who actually lives next door, looks like, to him in the documentary. They share a duplex
or something. Yeah.
Yep.
He's like, I'll come over. And then you see him walk out the door and walk over.
Yeah, it talked about a little bit about his marriage to Joanne Wally and how he actually first met her or first saw her, and then how they actually really met and all that stuff, which is kind of
Willow,
cool.
Right?
Yeah, Willow. And then also I think also he went through, just for him, he's the type of person he is, talking about he's going for roles. I thought it was interesting. He would just film himself and send tapes. He sent tons of tapes to Kubrick trying to get into Full Metal Jacket. He sent a bunch of tapes out there to try to get into the Doors movie, which worked. Yeah. And then other stuff like that. So he was sending audition tapes like crazy and doing these roles and things like that. And he really immersed himself. And
I really pictured him being more like Iceman in real life than what he turned out to be.
I think in some ways he is.
I wonder how much of it is his condition has humbled him through the years to give him a completely different outlook on things. Like if he never got the throat condition and this movie came out, how different would it be? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think
that's definitely a life-changing event he went through.
Well, I think the ending, it's when we see the ending of this, and spoiler, he was doing this, and I didn't know he did this. He did a touring thing as Mark Twain, and he truly loved the Mark Twain story, and he made it kind of a modern twist to it. It was like Mark Twain came back, was talking to everybody about different. Didn't look like he got too political. It just talked about
Kevin's Poe Macabre Master,
right? And he was working on the film, and I think that if he hadn't gotten his throat cancer, we would have gotten a Mark Twain film with Val Kilmer. I think what we were seeing was the transition from, okay, I've done all these movies, I've made a pile of money, and I now want to start doing projects I want to do, which is what he always wanted to do. He always wanted to do stage work. He always wanted to do pet projects, things like that. And I think that's what we would have, and we still could see that from Val in some ways, but because even with his throat thing, he's still very spry. They show him he's kind of bounced around a little bit, and so many times you look at him, you still see the young Val Kilmer in the person that he is today.
I thought it was interesting, and you do see that we do tons of conventions, and so we see a lot of these former celebrities, and you get the wide gambit of attitudes. You got those who are very grateful for the fans and are happy to be there for them, and those who are very bitter that this is the only way they can still make money. And he had this little dialogue in there talking about that, how like he's living off of his past image and he can't really live off his current. And how weird it is that people are bringing his old photos, everything's about what he did in the past. And it was kind of sad, but also interesting at the same time to hear, almost like the movie The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke. That captured such a great image of the former, superstar wrestlers, and how after they retire, like them trying to survive doing these autograph circuits and how sad it can be. So it's just interesting to see,
Well, and he did, he lamented about that a little bit, and then at the same time, he really appreciated his fans, appreciated seeing them, and
right,
and all that, and it didn't feel like that was something they had to throw in for the film. It was just, he said he kind of explained how he feels about it, and a lot of actors, I think, they feel that way, but at the same time, they're appreciative of the fact that they're still remembered.
They are, but you get the ones I've had conversations with some.
No, there's some.
Absolutely despise being there.
There's some they hate it. They don't want to be there, but
Yeah.
they know they can make. Well, some were saying, I come here and make 20 grand in a weekend. Where else can I do that anymore?
Yeah,
I don't show up for some that don't even show up for less than 10 grand, and you're looking going, but you're known for almost nothing. But okay, if you make 10 grand, go for it. I don't begrudge you, but you should be happy you could still do this, considering you had not much else that could do that for you. So
like they're like a particular former superstar WWE wrestler. I won't say the name, but I had a long conversation with him at one point, and he was just miserable. And he talked about how I'm like, well, what did you, he's like, oh, what did you do this weekend? And I told him, I go, well, how about you? He's like, yeah, I drank 6 12 packs of beer last night in my hotel room by myself. Like that was his whole evening, just sitting alone in a hotel room, getting completely wasted because he's so miserable. And it's just it's like, oh my God. And here he is jealous of my status at the show. I'm a nobody at the show, but I have friends there. I'm enjoying it. And here he is just locked up in a hotel room all night, drinking beers until he fell asleep. Like, it's so sad, So anyways,
and it is. And you've seen some of these guys at those shows, and it's not just wrestlers. I've seen actors, everything else. So it's a mix of people. And I think part of it too is when I look at that, sometimes I want to go, you know what? You want to have fun? Why don't you not be a jerk and come out and have fun?
Yeah, I'll share one story. He's deceased, so I don't have to worry about him showing up at shows anymore. The actor in Star Wars, the one that was choked, he's like, by Vader, I find your lack of faith disturbing. I talked to him one time, and he's like, oh, so what are you here for? And I mentioned I back then I used to do the top sets, and I did some licensed art for Acme Archive. So I mentioned that. He goes, well, I hope George paid you better than he ever paid me. I'm thinking to myself, you had one scene. What did he owe you? But he was like so bitter, and he just went on this whole rant of how cheap George is and how he should have got more money. I kept thinking to myself, you had one scene. So I don't know. Maybe in his mind, he thought he should have got paid the same as Harrison Ford. I don't know.
And some of them actually think that way, which is kind of funny. But then there's some, I've heard so many Star Wars actors, hey, they were grateful they had their one scene because they get into Disney World for free for the rest of their life.
Yeah, exactly. And there are those like Michael Teague from Battlestar Galactica. Mm-hmm. He was awesome. I spoke with him. It popped up a couple weeks ago as a memory from 12 years ago. I can't believe it. It was at Chicago, and I hung out with him for about a half hour outside of the convention at night and just talked. And he was just going on and on about how grateful he is and how this is amazing that, he's worked his whole career. And I think that's the key too. The actors have been around a long time, and then they finally got their big break. They understand how hard it is and how rare it is to hit the big break. So like he was very grateful because it didn't just whereas some people at 16 hit the peak of their career, and the rest of their life, they can't get anything. Yeah. So he was grateful. He had a different point of view and just went on and on about how much he loved his fans, So good times. But I enjoyed the Val documentary.
Yeah. So I just saw that. And then we're getting a couple other things I watched also this morning. I watched, besides the What If, Disney Plus has a new Doogie Howser show. It's actually called Doogie Kamealoha. And it started off, I was kind of like, okay, it feels very Doogie-ish, but it's set in Hawaii. Yeah, it's set in Hawaii. It's a similar thing. You get they had a same type of theme music, but then it's also set in Hawaii. So it's a girl, of course. They flipped the genders on this, but the family dynamics are different. It's got Jason Lee, who played Bruce Lee in the movie back in the 90s. So it was fun. I'll give it a couple episodes. They're doing one a week on Disney Plus, so we'll see what happens there.
All right, cool.
So,
well, talking about Disney, want to get into Shang-Chi or Shang-Chi? Shang, it's not Shang.
Yeah, it's Shang. That was actually my segue too, was mentioning Disney.
Perfect. I was picking up what you were putting down.
Yeah, word. I'm still hip as an old man now. So, I saw Shang-Chi last Thursday, and I'm glad they're not doing the Disney Plus run on this. You need to see this in the theater.
Yeah, it's really good. I really enjoyed it. It's an origin story,
Mm-hmm.
and those they're hard to compare to the normal, with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's so many movies out there, and some of them are hitting the high points of the story arc. This is an opening chapter to a new character, and as an origin movie, I really liked it. I thought it was really good. Was it my favorite Marvel movie ever? No, but that doesn't mean it's bad. That doesn't mean don't go see it. I still thoroughly enjoyed it. For the origin stories, I think it's in the middle of the pack for me. I liked Black Panther better, Guardians of the Galaxy better, Iron Man 1 better, but I thought this was better than Thor. I thought it was better. I would put it on par with Captain America: First Avenger. I think they're about even for me for those two movies for origin stories. So, how about you?
What I loved about this film was it wasn't your typical Marvel movie in terms of, we're trying to introduce an established superhero. This is a new character that a lot of people, I didn't even really have much insight into. I've not read much of it or seen where Shang-Chi came from in the Marvel comics and that. But I liked how they kind of incorporated a lot of different film genres in it. We had the Marvel action sequences at the beginning. Then it became throughout it kind of a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon type story.
Yes.
Not as drawn out. And then we had the typical good versus evil and introducing that, and even some redemptions within there. But what I liked about it, I liked the main character playing Shang-Chi. I thought he did a great job. He's good in action. He kind of played himself down in the beginning. So, because him and his best friend, played by Awkwafina, they're car valets in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. And then you learn his backstory. You learn that, where throughout the whole movie, they're kind of going back and telling different sequences of him growing up and how he became, basically a martial arts master, and where he came from, who his father was. We find out is over 1,000 years old, and basically alluded to being everything from Genghis Khan to any other warmonger throughout that 1,000 years.
I thought they did a good job, and this is where I think Marvel does a really good job. They did it in Black Panther 2 of taking a culture and bringing it into the Marvel universe in such a way it still feels like the Marvel universe, but still honoring the culture at the same time. They did such a great job, I think, of bringing all of the Chinese mythology into this world. And they utilized almost a multiverse in a way, because they came from another dimension, or how did they explain it? They weren't from Earth. Like they said, your universe so they came from another portal or a dimension or something.
Yeah, it was definitely crossing over. And the where Shang-Chi's mother came from is kind of like a Wakanda. It was on Earth, it seems, but it was a separate location. They treated it as a different dimension, but they had creatures that they had imprisoned, that they guarded from getting out, that did cross another dimension, but they haven't said exactly where in that dimension that they came from. But it also built up the myth from behind the Chinese dragons too.
Right. And they even had like the Chinese lions in there, and a lot of those creatures were mixed into this film in a way. Yeah. I would definitely recommend watching, was it Iron Man 2?
Well, actually, if you go on Disney Plus, you can just go and watch the 14-minute Man Who Will Be King, or Hail to the King.
Hail to the King.
Which
well, that shows the end, but if you watch, was it Iron Man 2 or 3?
It was Iron Man 3.
3. So if you watch the full backstory of the Mandarin, that movie will have it. Hail to the King shows how Trevor.
Yeah, it shows Trevor afterwards, who was the Mandarin, in prison. And the interesting thing about this is I didn't realize, I never saw this before, but it came out in like 2014. And there's images in there, like the one guy has the tattoo on his right here of the 10 rings, which they use in this. So it was, maybe that was added after the fact because they could digitally do that. But there was a lot of things in that I was like, okay.
No, that was there. I remember it at the time, because I remember seeing that.
Yeah. And so go back and watch either Iron Man 3 or the
Hail to the King.
And then when you see this, it'll add some things to this that help without you understand a couple things. But it was really good. I was impressed with the action sequences.
I also
ahead.
want to say this is what Iron Fist should have been.
Yes.
When Netflix came out with Iron Fist, the martial arts was horrible. Now, I'm no martial arts expert, but to me, this felt like, I don't know his past other than he was a stock photo model. Did you know that?
Yeah.
So if you look up stock photos, images of like office images and stuff, what's his real name? Shang-Li is, I forget his real name. Anyways, he used to do modeling for that. But other than that, I don't know his martial arts background, but it seemed really not well done in this movie.
Well,
Liu or something like that is his name.
Simu Liu. Yeah, Simu. And then the guy that played his father, Tony Leung, is a martial arts movie superstar. So, and then Michelle Yeoh's in it, plays his aunt. I don't know much about Fala Chen, who played Lei Ko Wu. So there's a lot of, and the thing is, it's a very heavy Asian cast that does a really great job. And it doesn't feel like they're pandering that they have to, only have Asians. They do have other people mixed in. But it was definitely great to see. And I've seen a lot of people say this too. It's great to see this Asian cast. And to me, it didn't feel like they were trying to overly say, hey, we're Chinese, we're this. It was just, here's the cast, here's the story. And they went right into it. And everything else is just was just there. And it felt very natural. Where I feel sometimes when they're trying to diversify a movie, they have to explain why somebody is like Chinese or African American or whatever they're from.
So as far as his actual martial arts experience, they don't know the actor's real life experience. Mm-hmm. They say, although he's never commented on his actual martial arts training, it mentions in his skill set that he has martial arts, basketball, volleyball, gymnastics, and other sports. So he's very athletic in his background in real life. And
I have a feeling that they worked with him, probably even with Tony Leung, to develop the basically the Wuhan style and that they're going to use.
Yeah. And if he's a very athletic person, he'll learn. He can, he has time to learn this. Now, what's interesting too, I didn't realize this. I'm looking up the history of this film. Mm-hmm. Marvel originally set this to begin development back in 2001, but they didn't produce in early 20s. So in 2001, they originally wanted to do this movie.
Yeah.
Then 2006 was one of the first of many chosen to be part of Marvel's new deal with Paramount. So they were going to do something that way, but then it kind of got put on the back burner for a while. 2018, it kind of got some wind in its sails again to move forward, and now we have it here.
Yeah, it was tied into. Yeah, it was tied into the Iron Man 3, and that was going to be the next. Like, they were going to go a different route with some things, and then of course the Netflix deal come out. I mean, a lot of things changed through Marvel right around the time Iron Man 3 came out. So that was a big deal on that. So regarding this film, if you go see it,
I recommend it. There are 2 end credits, one mid credit, one end credit scene.
Yep.
I will say he is officially labeled as an Avenger in that mid credit scene. So he is officially an Avenger.
As they're building this new Avengers team, I mean, they're bringing all these in, and we've got a direct tie-in there too with Doctor Strange.
Yes.
So Doctor Strange we're gonna see Shang-Chi, and then of course it said at the end though, it didn't say Shang-Chi will return, it said the 10 rings will return. And that when you see the movie, that has 2 meanings.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
Also, an interesting question comes up from this film.
Mm-hmm.
Through the trailers, everyone got excited that we saw Wong and Abomination fighting.
Yes.
This film, though, we find out Wong is there very voluntarily.
Yeah.
So does he use this as his way of practicing and training? And it looks like him and Abomination are friends. Yes. So are we going to have Abomination as a future Hulk, like on the good side? Like, possibly. It's very interesting, like that dynamic. It was completely different than I was expecting.
Yeah.
So
well, yeah, it was a great fight. it was hilarious in some ways, but still a good
Yes.
fight. And then they go off as friends, and they go off, yeah. And basically, it's like they're fighting for real, but at the same time, it's like Wong is training Abomination.
Yeah, because he gives him
So
some pointers that, like, I told you to do this or something.
yeah, so it'll be interesting to see, and I think that's what it is because Wong's an interesting character just all around.
He's a fun
And
character.
yeah, he's fun, and I like that he's kind of getting a little bit more within the Marvel universe. So we're going to see not just him with Doctor Strange. We can see him pop up in things like this. And
Like in Doctor Strange, we found out Wong likes Beyonce. And in this one, we find out he likes karaoke.
Yep. Oh God, yeah, the karaoke. So, which is another thing. Aquafina in this. I've liked her in some other stuff I've seen her in. She's a funny actress, and she had some funny scenes in this, but she felt properly toned down in terms of they didn't allow her to be like overly crazy, and she fit perfectly. And I really liked the dynamic between her and between the character that she played and Shang-Chi. They really played off each other really well. And she grew as a character herself. And we also had, which I thought was kind of neat, we basically had a Ant-Man sequence in this where they basically retold the story to their friends at the end. And so I think she's kind of like a mix of a potential girlfriend, not a girlfriend in this, but potential, as well as the buddy that likes to recap everything. And so I think we could see a little more of that with her. It sounds like she's moving on too with some of the other movies. So
yeah, I think Shang-Chi is a good addition to the Marvel universe. I think he'll be a great team member. I don't know how many of these movies I'll want to see. I guess it just depends what the story is. But as far as his powers and the rings, they did a really good job of creating a fighting style for him and how the rings get utilized. So I'm looking forward to that. The Romanian was funny.
Yes.
I like the giant Romanian, so I hope they bring him back in the future. I have a feeling we'll see him some more. Razor Blade or whatever. They're taking my car.
Yep. I think what we're going to see going forward with this is we'll see Shang-Chi popping into some of the other movies, and then we're going to have another 10 Rings movie. But it's not going to be like this. It's going to be more on the kind of the Asian gangster side.
I think it's going to focus on the sister.
Yes.
So we'll see where that goes.
She's going to have a big part, I think, in the next part, as well as he'll probably come in. I could see a duel between them a little bit, but it's also, I think we're going to see, I could see them doing kind of like a John Woo style a film, kind of like The Killers or some of the stuff he did with Chow Yun-Fat over the years.
And going back one movie to Black Widow, they have now established the Black Widow army that they have going. So we could even see a clash between that group and the 10 Ring groups.
Yes.
We could see them going at it too. So that's a possibility down the road.
Yeah,
because they're forming these armies. There's these little mini armies being formed in the Marvel universe. That's
factions.
Factions.
Because you have the Wakandans, which we have Wakanda Forever coming out. Now we have the 10 Rings. We actually get the Black Widows, and then we've got Avengers even in there. So we've got these different pockets. So that'll be interesting to see what happens with that, as well as
and then the Eternals, which are coming up.
Yeah, which is going to be interesting. And I'm reading more and more about that, and it sounds like Thanos was their fault. So that'd be interesting to see. And
I do like the one
to stop him.
Yeah, I do like the one little clip that came out on one of the trailers where they're like, so they're talking about the future of the Avengers, and they're like, well, who's going to lead them? And then Rob Stark, I forget his real name, but Rob Stark says, well, I can lead them, and they all start laughing. But we also have, not only do we have Rob Stark in this movie, we have Jon Snow in the movie.
Yeah.
So we got 2 Game of Thrones members in there. So
as long as we don't have Game of Thrones showrunners, we'll be good.
Yes, please no.
Because we've learned from that last season that nope, they can't run a show.
So
they just get lucky.
To transition, are you done with Shang-Chi?
Yeah. Go see it, guys. I actually, besides Free Guy, this is probably one of my favorite movies of the year, and I would definitely see it again in the theater if I get the chance.
Yep, I definitely liked it more than Black Widow.
Yep.
I liked it. I still enjoyed Black Widow, but I thought this was better.
Yep.
And plus, this is more forward moving. This is advancing the Marvel universe now. We're now finally getting past the snap. we're moving forward in the storyline finally. So
Yeah.
that's good too.
And like
Now
Scott
with-
says, and Scott's got his rankings and all that stuff, and it doesn't mean that the last ones are any worse than the first one's. Just his rankings, how he enjoys them more. Is that they're I recommend them all.
So for the people who want to comment on my rankings, I find it funny. Side note, they'll be like, "Well, why do you like that movie better than this movie?" It's my opinion. Okay, first of all. Second of all, I did put a little disclaimer in there. These are my first reaction rankings. So some movies you see and you like it a certain way. But then as time goes on, you may like it better or worse as time goes on, depending how your experience is. For instance, Age of Ultron is a good one. That's very low on my list. My first reaction was not a positive one. It was okay. I didn't mind it. I understood what the purpose was. But now that the MCU has grown, Age of Ultron actually is a more significant movie now, and I like it better now in rewatching. But I don't move it up the list because it's all based upon my initial reaction of seeing the movie.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. It's all based on first-time viewings. Thor Ragnarok, I can watch that over and over again. I can watch that probably more than any other movie. So that has moved up over the years, in my opinion, for me. But I leave it at the ranking I have it because that was my initial reaction.
Yeah.
So that's how I do my rankings. But honestly, I don't think there's a single Marvel movie I don't like. This is just trying to order in preference. And when you have 25 movies out now or whatever it is, there's a lot of nuance in there in how I rank it. So
when you start throwing in the Hulk movies, the Hulk movie they did with during Iron Man, which they kind of do and kind of don't count in MCU because it is. There's like I said, 22 to 25 different movies now, and all that stuff. But I recommend this is if you haven't watched a lot of the old ones in a while and you had some adverse feelings about them, go back. At least when I did it, I watched them in chronological order, not release, but where they take place in time and history in that. And I found that to be very enjoyable. And I picked up on things that I didn't realize were there during my initial watchings of them when they first came out. Because they've added, because things that they dropped hints at, they brought to fruition later on in other movies, or there was something that dropped a hint at a movie, even though it came out afterwards. And when you watch it in that order, it's like, oh, geez, they were talking about this, didn't catch it from that, but now I'm seeing in this way, it brought it out a new way. So
I agree.
But we're gonna stick with the Marvel a little bit, and move on to the What If.
Yeah, What If from last week, and it ties into the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer too.
Yes,
potentially. So what are your thoughts on last week's What If with Doctor Strange?
Yeah, I was a little disappointed in this one. It wasn't bad.
Your sigh said it all. Me and you seem to be pretty much in lockstep, I think, with our opinion of the What If series.
Yeah, I'm
enjoying
it. I've been kind of liking it. I'm enjoying it. I'll watch them every week when they come out. I felt this was a wholly unnecessary. The only thing I really picked up on this, I know some last week's to this one, even the week before that, the last 3 weeks, they're really incorporating the Watcher more visually throughout the episodes, and even a little bit of narration throughout.
And the characters even interacted with the Watcher once or twice.
Yeah, I mean, and actually, Doctor Strange did. He sees the Watcher. He can see him in that. The whole premise of this episode was, okay, what if, he didn't lose his hands, he lost his heart. And basically the girl he kind of loved but didn't love. I mean, it was even in the first movie, he was, so self-absorbed that, she was basically there and he loved her but didn't. It was Christine Palmer, who was a fellow surgeon, played by Rachel McAdams. Basically in this, she gets killed. And so but he still goes on the same journey. So he still becomes the mystical doctor, the sorcerer. But then it also finds out that there's this magic and he could try to bring her back. And so he starts dealing with time. And of course he's got the time stone and it basically goes through everything I've ever seen when they try to do this in any type of storyline. It's the same thing. It's like you never can change that point. In fact, they did this exact same story a little bit, not as in depth, but the first half hour of the remake of The Time Machine from the early 2000s dealt with the exact same thing.
Yeah. And this to me felt like it was written under Doctor Who rules. They talked about it's a fixed point in time. You can't change it. Mm-hmm. And Doctor Who uses those rules. The problem with Doctor Strange is that, and this is where I feel like this is more fan fiction than actual what if episodes, because it doesn't take into account the reality that we know. They say her death is a fixed point in time, and there is no alternate way this can happen. Except we know that's not true, because we know he can drive off by himself, get into the accident alone, and lose his hands. So we know it's not a fixed point. Because we've experienced it as part of the MCU. So that's the part I couldn't get past, was declaring that there was no alternate solution other than her dying. So that made no sense. However, it does make sense if this ties into the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. People are suspecting, because the Doctor Strange you see in there, he's winking, he's wearing a thing, he's doing a reckless time spell. None of it fits with the Doctor Strange we know. However, it does fit with this Doctor Strange. So I have a feeling we might be getting a glimpse into the multiverse origin story of the Doctor Strange we're going to meet in No Way Home.
Yeah. And that's very possible, because, I thought so when I saw the No Way Home trailer. I was like, it doesn't seem like the Doctor Strange we've seen. All of a sudden, he's like reckless with his magic. And
he's winking, like, oh, yeah, let's just alter time. Wink.
Yeah.
And then there's chaos.
And I mean, we've been seeing a lot of speculation that Doctor Strange in the Spider-Man trailer is actually Mephisto, which they've been speculating Mephisto for this last year and everything. And so
me personally, I'm a huge fan of Mephisto. However, I'm giving up on the whole Mephisto. People keep bringing that up, and it has not happened yet. If Mephisto is going to come, I don't think it's going to happen until the Fantastic Four movies.
Right.
Because he was tied in closely with them, wasn't he?
I think so. He's popped all over the Marvel universe. I think if it's something that's going to happen, it's not going to happen so obviously.
Right.
It's going to be a way that when people see it really happening, like, oh, okay.
We're going to find out Stan Lee was Mephisto all along.
Yeah. They're going to resurrect him and bring him back. Like, hey, guess what? Boom, I'm the devil.
Here's your no prize.
Yeah. Eternal damnation.
But as far as this What If episode goes, I enjoyed it for what it was. But I just, like I said, to me, it feels like I'm watching fan fiction.
They kept going back and back with the whole, him trying to stop it. It got a little drawn out there. But there's the wink. Yeah.
Even like,
and he's wearing. It's funny. He's wearing the cloak, and he's got like a hoodie on underneath it.
Yeah. So, and it looks like his hair is overly dyed or something. Like, it doesn't look like Doctor Strange. It's almost like when in Star Wars Last Jedi, the younger Mark Hamill, that like he had like the obviously dyed hair and all this, and it didn't look quite like Luke. And then it turns out it was a force projection, so it wasn't the real Luke. And I have a feeling that's what they're doing here, which is why he doesn't quite look like the Doctor Strange we know. So. Right.
And that's what I'm wondering too, is if there's been a switch in the Doctor Stranges and all that. So we'll have to see on that. I look forward to see more of that within Spider-Man, and then also the Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited for those. We'll see where Eternals goes. I'm not excited for Eternals yet, but I'm still going to see it because so far Marvel has always come through for me. So we'll see.
I'm interested to see it, but it's definitely not been one of my more excited ones to see. But the little images here and there, stuff like that, I'm like, okay, this could be interesting. And then, like I said, they dropped something in one of the recent things talking about Thanos, and I was like, okay, so they're tying Thanos in, but then they're also saying that these guys have been here forever, but they didn't do anything to help out during the snap, but now they're coming out to help.
Well, I think it has to do with, because they do show like an image of one of the old Titans, right? Isn't he a Titan, that thing with the 6 glowing eyes and stuff?
Yeah.
And so Thanos was a Titan. So,
and that's what they're trying the Eternals into as within the Titans, I think. So
yeah, so
it'll be interesting to see that. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where it goes.
Yeah.
From what I see in the trailer, it has the usual Marvel like sense of humor level and stuff thrown in, and fun action and stuff. So the Rob Stark character, he almost feels like a Superman type to me. Like they show him flying around, he's shooting beams out of his eyes. He's a good guy. I'm wondering, are they going to make him into the Marvel Universe version of Superman? We'll see where he develops.
Yeah, I'm interested on that if they're going to go that route. I know they're still starting to drop hints onto the other stuff going forward. The Ms. Marvel movie and Captain Marvel tied into the other ones. So
They did also bring in Captain Marvel with two other things that popped up in the end credit scene.
yes, it was the end credits of Shang-Chi. We did see Captain Marvel
and Bruce Banner.
And Bruce Banner. So Bruce was there, and then Captain Marvel was there, and then she had to take off to go deal with something. I think that's going to tie into her movie. Yep. Things like that. So
right.
it's
and Bruce Banner was in his human form, so he figured out how to revert back.
Yeah, so he's not hulking out like he was before. So we'll have to find out more about that. Mm-hmm. That'll be kind of interesting on what's going on there with the Bruce Banner Hulk or the Hulk type thing. So
I wonder if we'll get a Red Hulk in the near future.
I keep wondering if we're going to see the other Hulks. That's
the Gray Hulk, the Red Hulk. Gray Hulk was my favorite when I was reading the comics. I always liked Gray Hulk, so I would like to see them go that route.
And we may see something tied into She-Hulk, the series, and maybe there'll be something there that when they show how she became She-Hulk, and that's going to tie in something to eventually split the Hulks and create the other Hulks and that. So
right,
and however they go about that. So I'm excited. I like seeing this stuff, and we definitely got a lot of great stuff coming out this next several months of Marvel, and they're promoting it, and
it's gonna
see what goes.
It's good to have these coming out now, and we're seeing the universe move forward. Like I said, Black Widow was okay, but we were going back in the past. The Disney Plus series, we kept going back. Everything kept going back to a point we already knew.
Yeah.
So I'm just relieved we're moving forward finally.
Yeah, now we're post Snap moving forward, and in fact for Shang-Chi, everything for what we saw anyways looked more back to normal.
There was a little bit of mention of the Snap, like some of the posters that talked about resettling people and half the world's population reappearing, but they're kind of moving past it now, and it felt like, and they're starting to develop the next storyline.
Yeah, I think actually Eternals may go a little bit back and deal a little bit more with that resettlement and things within that nature of the post Snap and post Thanos era. So we'll see. It's been really good. So definitely check those out. Like I said, watch the new What If that's dropped today. It was, I'm just going to tell it was Marvel Zombies. It's no way to get around it. It starts off that way. You get right into it. That's not a spoiler. If they take a different take than the comic series did, and they're still using a lot of the same voiceovers, the same people. So Chadwick must have recorded a lot of stuff before he was done. We get the Black Panther in this as well.
I liked his version of Black Panther in this What If better than his version of Black Panther in the What If he became Star-Lord.
Yes.
This felt like him.
Yes.
So I thought it was a good job. Worth watching, but once again, I felt like it was a fan fiction.
Yep. But yeah, so hey, join us next week. We're gonna have I'll verify for sure, but Bob Hickey's supposed to join us next week to talk about his new book within the Camelot Forever series.
Excellent.
We'll probably talk a little Cincinnati, some other Comic-Con comic stuff, and because Bob's very knowledgeable and been around for a long time doing this, and I noticed he posted something for a gamer thing, some new sketch cart paper or something like that. So maybe we'll see what's going on with that, if that's something that's still going on, if it hasn't happened yet, and see what else is going on there. So we look forward to that. Until next time, guys. Adios.